As a middling CS player who gets his demos reviewed by a stern Polish man, I am very aware of my faults in this game. This has mostly been a very positive experience, and I have certainly learned a lot from these demo reviews.
You are not banned on this game anymore.
But what happens when you can't stop making certain mistakes, even when you know about them? If you're like me, this can end up being demotivating, putting seeds of doubt in your head about whether you can ever overcome these obstacles. If I know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't stop doing it, is there just no hope? Well, we know from both research, personal experience, and common sense that improvement is not just a line that goes up, but a series of peaks and valleys. That's nice to say and all, but when you've spent a year trying to get better at CS and you still routinely make silly mistakes, it makes you maybe question some things about yourself and your ability to improve at the game. So in an effort to both help myself out and maybe help others who are in a similar spot, I want to talk about a few really sticky habits that persist in my gameplay and my plan to tackle them. First up, we have the dreaded instant crouch spray. We all know this one. You run around a corner, you see a guy, you press your pinky down on control with the force of a 50-pound weight, and you hold down mouse 1, baby. We don't like this habit because we want to have full control over when we crouch. It should not be a reflex. For example, we might want to crouch when we are certain we're taking a committed, isolated 1v1, or if we want to control our spray after we've started shooting. I had been struggling with this one for a while, but I finally found decent success minimizing it in my gameplay after I committed to deathmatching without or with very little crouching for about a week. I tried doing this with bots that run at you, but it didn't work because it was too different from a real in-game scenario. It was only when I started forcing myself to not crouch against live opponents in deathmatch that it gave me the same sensation as being in a real game where it quote-unquote matters. Next up is the cousin of instant crouch spraying, instant shooting when you see an enemy. We don't want to do this because it can cause us to panic and miss easy shots. It is also an inefficient use of the bullets in our magazine. Ideally, we should be moving our crosshair onto the enemy's head and then shooting. To be honest, this is still very, very difficult for me unless I have a deagle or some other gun that requires it. However, there are a few things that I've started doing to try and help. There's this Valorant warm-up technique called the Miyagi method, where you go into a deathmatch and just track heads while moving but not shooting back, and then eventually progressing to only shooting one taps when you really think your crosshair is on the enemy's head. This is supposed to give you the confidence and patience to really make sure your crosshair is in the right place before shooting. Something else I've been doing is a warm-up Phoenix taught me, but that I had honestly stopped doing for a long time until starting it up recently again. You go into this workshop map, I'll link it in the description, and you track the strafing bot's heads for a moment before shooting. Do this with a pistol for a few minutes and then progress to doing it with an AK, except this time you're strafing in between shots and bursting. I'm not sure this is really translating in-game for me just yet, but there are some initial signs. Here's a clip where you can see me kind of drag my crosshair to the strafing enemy's head on a pistol round. Next up, we have my arch nemesis, the fake angle clear. Have you ever been entering a site or quietly lurking even and cleared an angle half-heartedly, not even really considering if there could be someone there or not, and by the time you finally register that there is someone there, you've already started moving on to the next angle? I do this all the time and it's really frustrating. It's like self-defeating behavior caused by a lack of focus or like failure to lock in. Here's an example from a recent coaching session.
Bro, no way. What is this looking away thingy? Like you instantly look away. You don't even believe someone could be there. Right?
Yeah.
This is fixable by pre-fire practice. It's more of pre-fire practice. You need to visualize the angle. You never turn away before killing the bot, right? Or like before clearing the angles.
This is the most frustrating one of all of these to me because it is seemingly the most simple and doesn't require anything from me except to be more intentional about clearing my angles. And yet, I still fall prey to this. I did this twice in a game the other day and I'm really tired of it, so I'm determined to help myself here. I asked my Twitter followers about it and got some good advice. I was told to play some pre-fire maps, but I already do that. The Problem is, I've memorized where the bots in those pre-fire maps are, so I'm no longer reacting. Refrag has a new mode called Angle Trainer, which is pre-fire but with the bots in random locations, so it really requires you to focus and treat each peak like there could be someone there. I've been doing this for a little bit and it has helped, although I do find myself doing fake clears even in this mode sometimes. The last bad habit I will call anxious moving while holding angles, and this will also include unnecessarily moving forward into angles. I got ants in my pants and an untreated attention disorder to prove it. Basically on CT side or in post plants, it looks like this. These anxious movements side to side, and sometimes even forward and backward, which is extra bad, really serve no purpose. If I'm on an angle, I should be doing one of three things. 1. Holding completely stationary. 2. Peeking in and out with counter strafes. Or 3. Spotting for info. I know a lot of high level and pro players throw in these micro jiggles when they hold angles, but for me, it only results in whiffed shots, so I really can't be doing this anymore. This was first pointed out to me last year.
Why can't you just post up here and stand here? You have to be moving. And you're dead.
And it slowly crept its way back into my game again. Here's a clip from my most recent coaching session.
Tiny mistake, but again, like here, you don't need to move an inch, right? Like you don't need to. As you even move the S.
Yeah.
Just randomly, just standing and moving with S. I'm like, I feel like movement investigator right now. It's really easy or bad habit. Okay, you can just stand. You can just stand here, chill. Like
Just
shoot the guy.
left hand off keyboard moment.
Yeah. Just stand. But no, you press like S, D, and see, that's why it's not a headshot.
Makes my first bullet off.
Yeah, it's legs. You're shooting in legs. You have your crosshair on the head, but you hit the legs.
I've also turned to Refrag to work on this. They have a great community mode called Defender where you get exec'd upon with a ton of util. For me, I modify it a bit so I can focus on standing mostly still and shooting. I turn the util down a lot, give myself the A1S, and turn unlimited ammo off so I need to manage my mag. This has helped me get some reps in with standing my ground. It's really challenging, but I think it's helping. Here's an example of a clip from the same exact spot I got yelled at in my demo review where I simply stand still and get some kills. Nice. So that's a ton of stuff. You could spend an entire practice session just working on one of these things. It's kind of impossible to put full focus on all of it at once, which is fine, I think, as long as you don't neglect a particular one for too long, which I absolutely am guilty of doing. Multiple times. When you're trying to fit competitive gaming into the rest of your busy life, it can be super hard to find the right balance, especially considering how valuable it is to just grind out actual matches and get that game experience. I hope if you're struggling with some of these issues too, you might find inspiration in the practice ideas I'm working on. Finally, it's been a while, but I really want to get back to streaming. I think for now, I'm going to be doing that on Twitch. Please give me a follow over there if you want to chill and improve together. Thanks.